Hi, I'm Caroline Heyerdahl, and this is my presentation on learned helplessness. So, learned helplessness occurs when someone has continuous experiences of failure, which leads to pessimistic beliefs. And as this repeats, they feel as if the situation is out of their control. Over time, they start believing that no matter how hard they work, nothing they could do would ever make a difference. The studies I used are both in an academic setting, which is where learned helplessness is the most common. In students, it can show up as giving up easily, not trying hard on assignments, or assuming they will fail no matter what. It's important to understand learned helplessness because these beliefs can lead to low motivation, poor academic performance, and depression. So, the weird study I looked at took place in central New Jersey with 168 elementary school children. The participants were mostly white and middle class. Over 1 year, researchers followed the children and measured 3 variables: explanatory style, how kids explained bad events, whether it was internal, they blamed themselves; stable, they assumed it would always happen; or global, they felt it affected everything in their lives. They also measured depressive symptoms, feelings of sadness or hopelessness that may indicate developing depression, as well as academic achievement, how well the kids performed in school across the year through test scores, teacher evaluations, and grades overall. The researchers found that children who explained negative events as internal, stable, and global, pessimistic thinking styles, were more likely to feel depressed and show learned helplessness. This also predicted lower academic performance over time. So, in this study, learned helplessness was connected to kids' personal thinking patterns. The non-weird study I looked at had Chinese university students as its participants, which is a non-Western, non-democratic cultural setting. This study measured 3 variables within the students: self-efficacy, how confident students felt in their ability to learn; social support, whether they felt supported by friends, family, or teachers; and learned helplessness, the belief that effort doesn't matter and academic outcomes cannot be changed. The researchers found that students with low self-efficacy and weak social support experienced significantly more learned helplessness. They also argued that the cultural context matters. Chinese students often face extremely high academic pressure and social expectations, which can shape their motivation and sense of control. So in this study, helplessness was influenced more by environmental and cultural factors rather than just individual thinking. Comparing the 2 studies shows how much culture matters in psychology. In the weird study, learned helplessness was linked to internal thinking patterns, how kids interpreted their failures. In the non-weird study, learned helplessness was driven by more external pressures, like academic competition and social support networks. Both groups experienced helplessness, depression, and lower academic performance, but the causes and contexts were different. In conclusion, learned helplessness is important to understand because it shows how students can start believing they can't succeed, which affects both their mental health and school performance. These 2 studies demonstrate that while learned helplessness exists across cultures, the reasons behind it can vary. Spreading awareness of different cultural and emotional aspects that may cause learned helplessness can result in better support for all students. And then these are my sources.